In a world full of chaos, with job losses, broken relationships, and rising anxiety, most people are just one bad day away from falling apart. But what if you could train your mind to stay calm, steady, and unshakable no matter what happens? The Stoics believed that true strength does not come from money, fame, or control over others. It comes from mastering yourself. This video is not just theory. It is a toolkit. 10 timeless Stoic principles used by warriors, philosophers, and survivors for centuries. Simple ideas that, when practiced, can turn your mind into an iron fortress. If you have ever felt overwhelmed, anxious, or stuck, stay with me. Because, by the end of this video, you will have the mental tools to face anything life throws your way. Principle 1. Dichotomy of Control. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, full of plans, but then something happens. You get a message you didn't expect. You miss an opportunity. Someone disappoints you. Suddenly, the calm you had is gone. Anxiety rushes in. You feel like everything is falling apart. Now pause, ask yourself, why does this happen? Most of our suffering comes from trying to control the uncontrollable, from clinging to outcomes, obsessing over other people's behavior, or wishing reality would play out differently. This is where the Stoics offer one of their most life-changing insights: the dichotomy of control. It means dividing everything you face into two simple categories: what you can control and what you cannot. Your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, these are yours. You have full power over them. But everything else, what others think of you, how events unfold, the outcome of your efforts, the past, the future, these things are outside your control. And here's the key. Peace begins the moment you stop wasting energy on what you cannot control. This sounds easy in theory, but in practice, it's a constant discipline, because your mind will always try to pull you into worry, into blame, into the illusion that if you just stress more, push harder, or argue longer, things will bend your way. But the truth is, they won't. No amount of anxiety can change the past. No amount of anger can force others to behave how you want, and no amount of fear can guarantee the future. The Stoic understands this, and because of that, they gain an incredible kind of power, the power of focus. They do not scatter their energy on things beyond their reach. Instead, they turn inward. They say, I cannot control the storm, but I can control how I sail. And in doing so, they become unshakable. Think about how much mental space you would free up if you stopped trying to control what you never truly owned. If you let go of needing others to agree with you. If you stopped replaying the past or fearing the future. If you lived fully inside the only space where your power is real, the present moment, and your response to it. That's what the dichotomy of control gives you. It's not escape from life's problems. It's clarity. It's strength. It's the calm that comes from knowing that no matter what happens outside of you, your inner world is your domain. And when you protect that inner world, you become the kind of person who cannot be broken. Not because life stops testing you, but because you've stopped giving your peace away so easily. Start with this. Each time something bothers you, ask, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. If it is, take full responsibility. This simple practice, done daily, is not just philosophy, it's freedom. Principle 2. Amor Fati, love your fate. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes it blesses us. Other times it tests us in ways we never saw coming. A sudden illness, a betrayal, a failure that knocks the wind out of us. When these things happen, the natural reaction is resistance. We ask, why me? We wish the moment away. We fight reality with frustration and pain. But the Stoics offer us a radically different path. They call it Amor Fati, which means love of fate. Not just accepting what happens, but embracing it, fully and completely, as if you had chosen it yourself. This idea is not about becoming passive. It is not about pretending that pain doesn't hurt, or that injustice isn't real. Amor Fati is about aligning yourself so deeply with the flow of life that even the hardest moments become part of your personal evolution. Think about it. Everything that has ever shaped you, your strength, your resilience, your wisdom, has come through difficulty. Growth rarely happens when things are easy. The fire refines the metal. The pressure forms the diamond. The Stoic does not just endure suffering. They use it. They see each setback as a test, each hardship as training, each loss as a lesson. Even heartbreak, even failure, all of it is fuel. This mindset gives you an incredible kind of power. Because once you stop resisting what is, you begin to see that life is always working through you, not against you. Every experience becomes part of your path. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Imagine if you could look at every event, the painful ones, the disappointing ones, and say, good. This is for me. I will grow from this. This is not toxic positivity. This is resilience at the highest level. It means you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You become the kind of person who does not break when plans fall apart, because you understand that the path was never supposed to be smooth. It was supposed to shape you. Amor Fati is how you stop being a victim of life and start becoming a student of it. And over time, you become a master. So the next time something goes wrong, you lose something, someone lets you down, your plans collapse, take a breath. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, how is this shaping me? Say to yourself, I do not just accept this moment, I welcome it. I trust that it belongs to my journey. Because when you love your fate, life can no longer control you. Every twist and turn becomes part of the masterpiece you are building. From the inside out. Principle 3. Negative visualization. It may sound strange at first, imagining the worst-case scenario. Who would want to focus on disaster, pain, or loss? But this is exactly what the Stoics recommended. They called it negative visualization, and it is one of the most powerful tools for building resilience and gratitude. Negative visualization is the practice of mentally contemplating potential losses, obstacles, and worst-case outcomes. It's a form of mental rehearsal that prepares you for adversity before it even happens. But it's not about living in fear. It's about becoming aware of life's impermanence and using that awareness to find peace, strength, and clarity. The truth is, nothing is permanent. People we love may pass away. Our careers may change. Our health may decline. These are difficult truths, but truths nonetheless. And most people live their lives ignoring or avoiding them, hoping that by doing so they can protect themselves from pain. But the Stoic takes a different approach. They face these uncomfortable possibilities head-on. They imagine the worst, not to feel overwhelmed, but to accept it. By mentally rehearsing the loss of something or someone, they lessen the shock if it ever occurs. They make peace with the fact that nothing is guaranteed, and that every blessing, no matter how small, is a gift. When you practice negative visualization, you are not wishing for bad things to happen. You are simply preparing yourself for when they do. This doesn't mean you live in a constant state of fear or anxiety. On the contrary, it means you can enjoy life more fully because you have a deeper appreciation for what you have right now. Imagine if you woke up every day thinking, "What if this is the last day I get to spend with my loved ones?" Or, "What if I lost everything I've worked for?" Now, I'm not saying you should live in constant dread, but by contemplating these possibilities, not obsessing over them but simply acknowledging them, you learn to appreciate the present moment more deeply. You also learn to stop taking things for granted. And here's the beauty. Negative visualization builds gratitude. When you imagine losing something, you realize how much you value it. You cherish the people around you, your health, your freedom. You begin to see life as a series of fleeting moments, each one precious. Furthermore, negative visualization helps you build resilience. When you're prepared for adversity, you no longer fear it. If something unexpected happens, if you lose your job or someone close to you falls ill, you will be able to face it with calmness, knowing that you have already made peace with the possibility. This mindset shifts your entire relationship with fear. It removes its power over you. Because you realize that fear thrives on the unknown. But if you face that unknown directly, it loses its grip. You become free. So take a moment today to practice negative visualization. Imagine losing something you value. Imagine your worst fear coming true. Then, let go of the fear and ask yourself, how would I respond? How can I grow from this? You'll find that your life becomes more grounded, more present, and more resilient. Because once you accept the possibility of loss, you realize just how much you have right now. Principle 4. Turn obstacles into paths. Life, as we know, is full of obstacles, challenges, setbacks, roadblocks. Things don't always go as planned. We all encounter moments where our goals seem out of reach, or the path ahead is blocked by something unexpected. Most people, when faced with obstacles, feel defeated. They might stop trying or go in search of an easier route. But the Stoics teach us a powerful mindset shift. Turn obstacles into paths. This principle is rooted in the idea that the obstacles we face are not barriers, but opportunities in disguise. In fact, the Stoics argue that obstacles are the path itself. When we meet resistance in life, it's not a signal to turn back. It's an invitation to go deeper, to learn, to grow, and to find new ways forward. Think about the times when you faced hardship or difficulty. What did you learn from those experiences? Did you grow stronger? Did you gain new insights? The reality is that our most difficult moments often teach us the most valuable lessons. Every challenge holds the potential for transformation. In the E.T. famous words of the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that the very thing that tries to stop you, whether it's a person, a situation, or even your own doubts, can become the catalyst for your growth. When you encounter an obstacle, don't see it as something to avoid or be afraid of. See it as the opportunity to refine yourself. Ask, what is this teaching me? Every difficulty you face is a chance to develop more wisdom, resilience, and creativity. The way forward may not always be clear, But the Stoic knows that the path through the obstacle is often the most valuable one. Consider how an athlete trains. They don't become great by avoiding challenges. They become great by facing tough opponents, pushing their limits, and overcoming adversity. The same goes for life. You cannot grow without challenges, and you cannot succeed without failing along the way. The more you face obstacles with this mindset, the stronger you become. What once seemed like a barrier will eventually feel like a stepping stone. When you choose to embrace obstacles as opportunities to grow, you free yourself from fear. You stop seeing the world as something that's constantly trying to defeat you, and you start seeing it as a vast training ground for your potential. The next time you hit an obstacle, stop and think about this. How can I turn this obstacle into a path? Perhaps you need to change your approach. Maybe you need to be more creative or patient. Sometimes the obstacle is not the world around you, but the limiting beliefs you have about yourself. Ask, how can I use this challenge to prove my strength? And remember, obstacles don't just make you stronger. They shape who you become. Every time you push through adversity, you refine your character. The Stoics understood that virtue is built in the fire of difficulty, and it is through facing these obstacles that we carve out our true greatness. Principle 5. Voluntary Difficulties. When life becomes too easy, it's easy to become soft. We seek comfort, avoid discomfort, and build our lives around the things that make us feel good. But, as the Stoics teach, comfort can be a trap. It creates dependency on external circumstances, and when life inevitably shifts, when things become hard, we may find ourselves unable to cope. This is where voluntary difficulties come into play. The Stoics believed that we should not wait for hardship to come to us. Instead, we should actively seek challenges. They argued that by intentionally putting ourselves in situations of discomfort, we build the resilience and mental toughness that will serve us when life gets difficult. This concept is about training the mind and body, just as an athlete trains for a competition. If an athlete only trained in perfect conditions, they would never be prepared for a real challenge. Similarly, if you only seek comfort in life, you may not be prepared when discomfort inevitably arrives. Voluntary difficulties mean consciously choosing to step outside of your comfort zone. It could mean something physical, like fasting for a day, waking up earlier, or taking cold showers. It might be mental, like choosing to face your fears, practicing patience when you feel frustrated, or taking on a task that seems daunting. The goal is not to make life harder for the sake of it, but to train yourself to become tougher and more adaptable. Consider the concept of voluntary hardship as a form of mental weightlifting. Just like lifting weights makes your muscles stronger, embracing discomfort strengthens your mind. You prove to yourself that you don't need external conditions to feel at peace. You don't need perfect circumstances to thrive. You can handle difficulty and come out of it stronger. One powerful example is how the Stoic philosophers practiced voluntary poverty. They would intentionally live with less to remind themselves that happiness does not depend on material possessions. The idea wasn't to suffer unnecessarily, but to demonstrate that their happiness came from within, not from external comforts. It was about building an inner strength that would be unaffected by the outside world. When you practice voluntary difficulties, you learn the art of self-mastery. You learn to resist your impulses, endure discomfort, and stay calm in stressful situations. These small acts of discipline build mental resilience, so when you face true hardship in life, the loss of a loved one, a job setback, or a health scare, you won't be caught off guard. You will already have cultivated the inner strength to handle it with grace. The key to this principle is that it's voluntary. You choose your challenges. You make them manageable, knowing that they are training tools for the bigger battles ahead. It's not about suffering for the sake of suffering. It's about strengthening your inner resolve so that when life throws real challenges at you, you can face them with clarity and composure. Every time you embrace discomfort, you're expanding your limits. You're building a mental foundation that cannot be shaken by the trials of life. So today, think about a small voluntary difficulty you can introduce into your life. It might be something as simple as skipping a luxury you enjoy, going for a run when you feel lazy, or stepping into a situation that makes you uncomfortable. Start small. But start, and in time, you'll notice. Your capacity to endure grows. Your mind becomes sharper. Your spirit becomes stronger. You are building an unbreakable foundation, one challenge at a time. Principle 6. Live in the present moment. How often do you find yourself lost in thought, either regretting the past or worrying about the future? We all do it. The mind constantly drifts, consumed with what has already happened or what might happen. We get caught in loops of rumination, thinking about past mistakes or stressing over things that haven't even occurred yet. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of the only moment that truly exists. The present. The Stoics were masters of mindfulness, long before it became popular in today's self-help culture. They understood that the present moment is the only time over which we have any real control. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. But now, this very moment, is where you can make a choice, take action, and find peace. Living in the present isn't just a nice idea. It's a radical shift in how we approach life. When we focus on the present, we free ourselves from the shackles of regret and fear. Regret about the past keeps us stuck, wishing things had gone differently. Anxiety about the future creates a constant state of unease as we imagine all the ways things could go wrong. But the Stoic sees the present as a gift, and to truly live, we must be fully engaged in it. Every thought, every action, every decision comes from this moment. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "Don't let your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have." He understood that by focusing on what is right in front of you, instead of what you think is missing, or what you fear will never come, you can find contentment in any situation. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future. It doesn't mean living recklessly or without thought. It means fully committing to each moment. It means giving your full attention to the task at hand, whether that's spending time with a loved one, working on a project, or even just breathing. The more present you are, the more you realize that this moment right now is all you truly have. When you live in the present, you can feel gratitude for what's happening now. You can appreciate the simple things, a cup of coffee, a conversation, the warmth of the sun on your face. You stop chasing future promises that may never come, and you start savoring the reality in front of you. This kind of mindfulness grounds you and brings clarity, because you no longer waste energy on things you cannot control. Think about how much time we spend worrying about tomorrow, only to realize that when tomorrow comes, we end up worrying about something else. But in the meantime, we've missed today, the only time we can do anything about. The Stoic doesn't waste time lamenting what was or fearing what could be. They focus on what is. They ask, what can I do right now to make this moment better? How can I engage fully with the present? So how do you start living in the present? Start with simple habits. When you find your mind wandering into the past or future, gently guide it back to now. Focus on your breath. Notice your surroundings. Engage fully in what you are doing. Whether it's a conversation, a task, or a walk, be present for it. The more you practice, the more you'll realize that the present moment is where all life truly happens. And when you embrace it fully, you unlock a level of peace that can't be disturbed by regrets or worries. Principle 7. Daily Reflection Journal. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to get swept up in the demands of work, family, and responsibilities. We move from one task to the next, rarely stopping to think about how we're living, what we're learning, or whether we're making progress. Without reflection, we risk living on autopilot, repeating the same mistakes and missing opportunities for growth. This is where the Stoic practice of daily reflection comes in. The Stoics understood that in order to grow, we must regularly examine our lives. They believed that we should take time every day to reflect on our actions, thoughts, and decisions, and ask ourselves whether we've lived in accordance with our values. A daily reflection journal is an incredibly powerful tool for self-awareness and improvement. By writing down your thoughts and experiences each day, you create a space for introspection and personal growth. It allows you to pause and consider what went well, what didn't, and what you can do differently in the future. The act of journaling forces you to slow down, encourages you to step outside of the noise, and reflect on your actions with clarity. It's a moment of self-checking that enables you to assess whether you're staying true to your Stoic principles, whether you're improving, or whether you've veered off course. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This means that instead of just thinking about virtue, we must act on it. Journaling allows you to track your daily progress. Did you act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance? Did you stay calm in the face of adversity? Did you take full responsibility for your actions? One of the most powerful benefits of daily reflection is that it forces you to take ownership of your life. It's easy to blame others, to complain, or to externalize our problems. But when you sit down and write about your day, you're compelled to take an honest look at your role in the events that unfolded. What did you do well? What could you have done better? What will you focus on tomorrow? By reflecting on your actions, you become more self-aware. You gain insights into your behavior, your thought patterns, and your emotions. This self-awareness helps you make better choices, live with greater intention, and continually improve as a person. But there's another key element of Stoic reflection that's often overlooked: gratitude. When you reflect on the day, it's important to also acknowledge what went well, the moments of beauty or joy, and the things you are grateful for. Stoicism doesn't advocate for a mindset of constant hardship or struggle. It encourages us to appreciate the good moments while also preparing ourselves for challenges. Try asking yourself these questions at the end of each day. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? How did I handle challenges? What am I grateful for today? How can I be a better version of myself tomorrow? Even if you only take a few minutes to write each day, the cumulative effect over time can be profound. Your daily reflection journal becomes a mirror for your personal development. It helps you see your strengths and areas for improvement, track your growth, and stay accountable to your highest ideals. The Stoic practice of journaling isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest and consistent in your efforts to improve. By making reflection a daily habit, you can ensure that you're always moving in the right direction, learning from each day, and constantly sharpening your mind and character. Principle 8. Memento Mori. Memento Mori. Remember you will die is a powerful and humbling Stoic practice. It's a reminder that our time on this earth is limited and that life is fleeting. This might sound morbid at first, but for the Stoics, contemplating death wasn't about being pessimistic or dwelling on sorrow. It was about gaining perspective. We live our daily lives as if we have all the time in the world, often postponing important actions, putting off our dreams, or procrastinating on tasks that matter most. We get lost in distractions and worries, focusing on trivial matters that ultimately won't matter when our time runs out. But when we truly internalize that life is short and that death is inevitable, our priorities shift. We start focusing on what truly matters. When the Stoics urged us to remember death, they weren't encouraging us to fear it. They were teaching us to live fully. Life's impermanence gives us a sense of urgency and gratitude. If we knew our time was limited, we'd stop wasting it on things that don't serve us, on drama, on worrying about what others think, or on procrastinating. Meditating on death is about realizing that this moment is all we really have. It's about choosing to spend your time in meaningful ways, to make decisions that align with your values, and to appreciate the people and experiences that enrich your life. We may not know when our time will come, but we do know that it's limited, and that awareness brings clarity. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." In other words, the time we have isn't the problem. The problem is how we squander it, on distractions, procrastination, and neglecting our true priorities. Memento Mori challenges us to ask, am I using my time wisely? It's not about living in fear of death. It's about living with intention. Imagine if you approached each day as though it could be your last. What would you do differently? How would you treat people? What would you focus on? These questions, prompted by the contemplation of death, help you refocus on the things that matter most. But Memento Mori also encourages us to accept death as a natural part of life. We often fear death because we see it as an end. But in Stoic philosophy, death is simply part of the cycle of life. The Stoics believe that we should not fear death because it is neither good nor bad. It simply is. They saw it as an inevitable transition, not a tragedy. One practice the Stoics used was to visualize their own death daily, not in a dark or depressing way, but as a means of gaining perspective. This practice helped them prioritize their time and live with a sense of urgency and gratitude. A simple exercise you can try is to reflect on the impermanence of life. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I accomplish today? Was I present with the people I care about? Did I spend my time on what truly matters? While Memento Mori might sound heavy, it actually brings a sense of peace and freedom. When you stop taking time for granted and embrace the reality of life's brevity, you start living more fully. You start appreciating the moments, the relationships, and the opportunities you have today. Ultimately, Memento Mori teaches us to live with purpose and urgency. It helps us prioritize what matters most and reminds us that our time is valuable. In doing so, we create a life that's meaningful, rich, and filled with gratitude. Principle 9. Virtue is more important than results. In today's world, we often measure success by results, the outcome of our efforts. Whether it's the money we make, the recognition we receive, or the achievements we collect, results seem to be the ultimate indicator of our worth. But the Stoics believed that this focus on outcomes was misguided. For them, virtue, the moral excellence of our character, was always more important than the results we achieve. What does it mean to place virtue over results? It means shifting our focus away from external rewards and placing it on how we live our lives, how we treat others, and the internal qualities we cultivate. Virtue is about becoming a better person, not about accumulating accolades or accolades. For the Stoics, virtue was not about striving for perfection. It was about embodying 4 key principles: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues guided how they made decisions, how they reacted to challenges, and how they lived in the world. They believed that if we lived virtuously, the results would take care of themselves. Whether we achieved external success or not, our virtue would always be a measure of our true success. In his writings, Epictetus stated, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." This means that we should focus on developing the qualities that are in our control, our actions, thoughts, and responses, and let go of the things we cannot control, like the results. We cannot control how others perceive us or the external rewards we receive, but we can control how we respond to life, how we treat others, and how we act with integrity. One key principle here is that our character is the true measure of success, not the results of our efforts. Think about it. You can achieve great things in the world, a big promotion, a successful business, or widespread fame. But if you've done so without virtue, if you've acted selfishly, dishonestly, or unjustly, those results are hollow. On the other hand, if you live a life of virtue, staying true to your principles, acting with kindness and courage, the results, whether big or small, will reflect your true worth. Focusing on virtue instead of results frees you from the pressure of external expectations. You no longer define your self-worth by how much you've accomplished or how others perceive you. Instead, you measure success by your integrity, your character, and your ability to remain true to your principles regardless of the outcome. A powerful example of this can be seen in Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors. Despite his power and wealth, Marcus wrote in his Meditations that the true goal of life was not to gain wealth or status, but to live a virtuous life. He believed that regardless of the circumstances or the results, the act of living in accordance with wisdom, justice, and integrity was enough to make life meaningful. By placing virtue over results, we avoid the trap of seeking validation from external sources. We stop defining our self-worth by how much we achieve, and instead focus on who we are becoming. It encourages us to act in ways that are right and just, regardless of whether we're rewarded for it. Virtue, unlike results, is lasting and unshakable. Even in failure, virtue remains a source of strength. In practical terms, ask yourself, how can I act with integrity in this situation? Am I making this decision based on my values, not the rewards I hope to gain? How can I embody wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in my actions today? When you focus on virtue over results, your life becomes less about chasing external rewards and more about growing as a person. You become less susceptible to the fluctuations of success and failure because you've rooted your sense of fulfillment in something far more stable: your character. Principle 10. Sympathia. In Stoic philosophy, sympathia refers to the interconnectedness of all things, the idea that everything in the universe is part of a greater whole. The Stoics believe that we are not isolated individuals, but rather part of a vast interconnected network that includes all of humanity in the natural world. This interconnectedness is a central concept of Stoic thought and serves as the foundation for empathy, compassion, and cooperation. The term sympathia itself suggests a mutual relationship, a shared experience. It's the understanding that everything we do has an impact, not just on ourselves but on the world around us. The Stoics recognize that we are all part of the same cosmic fabric, and that the well-being of others is intertwined with our own. When we recognize our connection to the universe and others, we begin to see that our actions, attitudes, and choices affect the greater whole. This recognition fosters empathy, as we come to understand that the struggles and joys of others are not so different from our own. When we practice sympathia, we learn to treat others with respect, kindness, and understanding, knowing that they are in many ways reflections of ourselves. This principle is particularly relevant in a world where division, isolation, and disconnection seem to be on the rise. In today's society, it's easy to forget how deeply connected we all are. We live in a world that often promotes self-interest and individualism, where competition and rivalry are celebrated over cooperation. But Stoicism reminds us that true strength lies in our ability to recognize our shared humanity. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "We are waves of the same sea, leaves of the same tree, flowers of the same garden." This idea encapsulates the essence of sympathia. Just as waves are part of the ocean, leaves are part of the tree, and flowers are part of the garden, we too are part of something much larger than ourselves. When we understand this, we begin to see our actions in the context of the greater good. By embracing sympathia, we can build deeper connections with others, not based on self-interest, but on mutual respect and understanding. It helps us recognize that we are all in this together, and that our lives are enriched not just by personal achievements, but by the well-being and success of those around us. This is the foundation for true empathy. The ability to step outside ourselves and understand the experiences of others, even when their lives are different from our own. Moreover, Sympathia also encourages us to treat the natural world with respect. The Stoics believed that the universe is governed by a rational order, and that human beings are a part of that order. By practicing Sympathia, we recognize that our relationship with nature is symbiotic. We are not separate from nature, we are part of it. Our actions, whether they're towards others or the environment, ripple through the larger system, and thus we must approach the world with humility and reverence. Practically speaking, embracing Sympathia means practicing empathy in everyday life. It means taking the time to understand the perspectives of others, even those with whom we disagree. It means offering help to those in need, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine understanding that we are all interconnected. When we see the struggles of others, we see echoes of our own challenges, and recognize that we all face difficulties at various points in our lives. To practice Sympathia, ask yourself, how can I contribute to the greater good today? In what ways can I empathize with the experiences of others? How can I treat the world and those around me with the respect and care they deserve? By embodying the principle of Sympathia, you begin to live with a sense of shared purpose, knowing that the well-being of others is as important as your own. It's a shift from seeing life as a competition to seeing it as a shared journey, where we support and uplift one another. Building an unbreakable mind is a journey, not a quick fix. By practicing Stoic principles like the Dichotomy of Control, Amor Fati, and negative visualization, you can develop resilience and inner peace that remain steadfast in the face of life's challenges. Remember, true strength comes from within. It's not about external circumstances, but how you respond to them. Start with one principle that resonates with you and practice it daily. Over time, these small actions will transform your mindset and make you stronger. The Stoics remind us that when we train our minds, nothing can break us. We become unshakable no matter what life throws our way. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay wise, and keep training your mind.